The next time the sky turns dark over your garden, do not look at the clouds. Look at the fence post. Your robin will not be there. It left hours ago. Not because it felt the first drop of rain, not because the wind picked up. Before the sky changed, before the air felt heavy to you, before any forecast on your phone predicted a storm, your robin was already gone. You have probably noticed this sudden, eerie quiet in your garden before bad weather. The feeder is empty, the bushes are silent. You probably thought it was just a coincidence, or maybe you thought the birds just looked up and saw the dark clouds coming. They did not. What your robin detects before a storm is not the wind. It is not the rain. It is something you cannot perceive at all. Your European robin is not just a little garden bird. It is one of the most sophisticated, highly sensitive atmospheric barometers on the planet. And the way it predicts the weather in your specific garden is something human technology is still struggling to perfectly replicate. Welcome back to the Robin Files. Today, we are going deep inside the sensory systems that make your backyard robin a master of weather prediction. We are going to look at the invisible signals it receives hours, sometimes days, before a storm hits. And the very last thing we cover will completely change how you view your garden the morning after a storm passes. Let us begin with the first warning sign, the 24-hour mark. The pressure drop your robin feels before the clouds even exist in your sky. The most fundamental difference between what a robin experiences before a storm and what you experience comes down to a microscopic structure hidden deep inside the bird's inner ear. It is called the paratympanic organ. This organ is a dedicated, hypersensitive pressure sensing structure. It detects changes in barometric pressure with a level of precision that is almost impossible for us to comprehend. Research has documented that birds can detect pressure drops as small as 1 hectopascal. To put that in perspective, a change that small is completely undetectable to the human body. Your ears register absolutely nothing. Most standard household barometers take significant time just to confirm a shift that minor. But when a typical low-pressure storm system is approaching your region, it begins pushing the barometric pressure down many hours before the storm itself arrives. During those hours, the human beings in the path of the storm have no physical sensation that anything is changing. You might be sitting in your garden, drinking tea. The sky might still look perfectly clear and blue. The air feels completely calm, but your robin already knows. The moment that barometric pressure begins to fall, the paratympanic organ fires a signal directly into the robin's brain. This is not a vague instinct. This is not a guess. It is a real-time, undeniable physical sensation of the atmosphere changing. The robin is processing and acting on information that your own human nervous system is completely blind to. Think about the last time your garden suddenly emptied out for no obvious reason. Think about the morning everything went dead quiet 2 hours before the clouds finally rolled in. That was not a coincidence. That was your robin following a biological pressure reading with greater sensitivity than any instrument you own. But pressure is only the first signal. Let us move to the 12-hour mark. The silent thunder. This is where the robin's abilities cross the line from impressive to truly extraordinary. Your robin can hear things that are entirely silent to you. Specifically, it hears infrasound. Infrasound consists of deep, low-frequency sound waves that vibrate below 20 Hz. 20 Hz is the absolute lower limit of human hearing. Anything below that range is completely silent to you. You have never heard it. You have no biological equipment in your body capable of detecting it. But a major storm system, like a severe thunderstorm complex or a massive winter gale moving off the Atlantic, produces immense amounts of infrasound as it develops. The sheer, violent energy of a large storm radiates outward at these low frequencies. And here is the incredible part. These infrasound waves travel for hundreds of miles ahead of the storm itself. They do not stop for anything. They pass effortlessly through mountains. They pass through forests. They pass right through the brick walls of your house and the glass of your windows. You hear absolutely nothing. But your robin, standing quietly on your garden spade, is listening to a storm that is still hundreds of miles away. Research studying bird responses to infrasound has found that some species can detect and respond to storm-produced infrasound from vast distances. They begin to react to a storm that is still 2 states or countries away. This is why the timeline you observe from your kitchen window feels so strange and unpredictable. When your robin disappears, hours before anything visible happens, it is not just reacting to a subtle shift in the wind. It is responding to the actual sound of the storm tearing across the landscape long before it arrives in your neighborhood. When your yard goes quiet on a bright, sunny morning, and there is nothing on the weather radar, your robin is listening to something the radar has not even picked up yet. Now we reach the final warning system, the 6-hour mark. This is the part that most people find the hardest to believe, but science has proven it to be true. The magnetic signal that arrives before the clouds. As if hearing the storm from hundreds of miles away and feeling the pressure drop were not enough, your robin has a third, completely independent sensory channel. Storms carry massive electrical energy. Large weather fronts and low-pressure systems actually distort the magnetic field of the Earth as they move across the surface. You may already know that your robin uses the Earth's magnetic field to navigate during migration. It possesses specialized proteins in its eyes called cryptochromes, which essentially allow the bird to visually perceive magnetic lines of force. It also has microscopic magnetite deposits in its beak. But this system is not just for finding true north. It is also highly sensitive to geomagnetic disturbances. When an incoming storm distorts the local magnetic field around your garden, your robin perceives that disruption. It is reading the magnetic field of your yard, the same way a sailor reads a compass. And when that field begins to warp and shift in the chaotic patterns associated with a violent weather system, the robin, your backyard robin, is not just checking the barometric pressure. It is not just listening for the infrasound of distant thunder. It is also reading the magnetic signature of the approaching danger. It has 3 independent, highly advanced early warning systems running simultaneously inside a body that weighs just 18 grams. Any one of those systems would make the robin more sensitive to approaching storms than you are. All 3, running together, make it something else entirely, a master of the atmosphere. And the most beautiful part is that this does not require a large brain or complex reasoning to operate. A robin with a brain, the size of a small seed, is running real-time atmospheric monitoring that outperforms anything a human can do without millions of dollars of meteorological equipment. The sophistication is not in the conscious thought. It is in the hardware. Nature built sensory equipment into these birds over millions of years that we have only begun to understand in the last few decades. The small creature hopping across your lawn on a calm Tuesday morning is actively experiencing a world of invisible forces that science is still figuring out how to measure. So, what does your robin actually do with all this advanced information? Knowing a storm is coming is one thing. Knowing how to survive it is another. This brings us to the reaction phase, the behavior you have definitely witnessed in your garden, even if you did not understand the science behind it at the time. When those 3 warning systems trigger, the robin's first response is a massive, urgent feeding surge. If you have ever looked out the window and seen your robin aggressively foraging, ignoring you, ignoring other birds, eating as much and as fast as it possibly can, note the time. When birds detect an approaching storm, they dramatically increase their foraging activity. They are loading up their tiny bodies with vital calories. They do this because they know that for the next 12 to 24 hours, foraging will be impossible. The rain, the wind, and the cold will trap them. If you see your mealworm dish empty out in record time on a perfectly calm morning, you are watching an animal preparing for a survival situation. It is responding to information it received before the atmosphere gave you a single visible clue. Your feeder is often the most accurate storm forecast in your neighborhood. After the feeding surge comes the second phase, the disappearance. Your garden suddenly empties. It goes completely, unnervingly quiet. Your robin has moved to shelter. It has retreated deep into the thickest ivy on your wall. It has pushed its way into the densest holly bush. It has tucked itself safely beneath the dry overhang of your garden shed. It is not leaving your yard because it is afraid of you. It is going to the safest, most protected place it knows, to wait out what the invisible signals have promised is coming. And it will not come out until those same signals tell it the danger has finally passed. Which brings us to the aftermath. The return. When the storm finally breaks, when the rain stops and the clouds begin to part, the garden begins to slowly come back to life. But if you pay very close attention, you will notice something profound about the order in which the birds return. Almost invariably, one of the very first birds you will see back on the damp soil is your robin. It will be standing there, looking slightly bedraggled, immediately hunting for worms pushed up by the rain. This is not because the robin is brave. It is because the robin is desperate. A European robin has a ferociously high metabolism. To survive a cold, wet storm, it had to burn through its fat reserves at a terrifying rate just to maintain its body temperature and stay alive in the dark. By the time the storm finally passes, your robin is running completely on empty. Its energy reserves are dangerously low. It returns to the soil first because it simply cannot afford to wait. It must feed immediately, within hours, or it will face a genuine survival crisis. It is a matter of life and death. And here is the most important thing to understand about that exact moment. When the storm was approaching, your robin had the entire neighborhood to choose from. It could have sheltered in the park. It could have gone to the woods. It could have hidden in a dozen other gardens down the street. But it chose to weather the storm in your garden. It knew every dense bush. It knew every dry corner. It knew every safe haven you have provided. And more importantly, it knew that the moment the storm passed, your freshly turned soil or your filled feeder would be there to save its life. It trusts your garden with its survival. It trusts you. That is not a small thing. That is a wild animal, equipped with 3 superhuman atmospheric sensing systems, choosing your yard specifically as the one place on Earth it wants to be when the sky falls. Tell me down in the comments, have you ever noticed your garden go suddenly quiet hours before a storm hit? Where does your specific robin go to hide when the heavy rain comes down? I want to hear your stories. I read every single one. Thank you for watching the Robin Files. Subscribe if you want to understand the secret life of your garden. I will see you in the next one.